Last week, Merriam-Webster announced its word of the year. It is not brat, which is maybe unfortunate because if they had, I would maybe know what brat means now. Never quite got it. Nope. Instead, it was polarization. Who would have thought? I mean, who could possibly be surprised at this point? This country is as polarized as it's been since the Civil War. And I think, polarization just breeds more polarization. And the problem is that the more polarized we get politically, socially, the more our ability to be pluralistic gets undermined. And it shuts down the kinds of conversations we need to be able to have a healthy democracy. So, one person who seems to understand this is Barack Obama, who last weekend addressed many of the challenges we're currently facing. Check out this clip.
On democracy and pluralism, I got more than a few groans and eye rolls. And it's understandable. After all, here in the United States, we have just been through a fierce, hard-fought election. And it's fair to say that it did not turn out as they had hoped. And for them, talk of bridging our differences when the country and the world seemed so bitterly divided felt like an academic exercise. It felt far-fetched, even naive, especially since, as far as they were concerned, the election proved that democracy is pretty far down on people's priority list.
Yes, absolutely. But why are we talking about this? Why is it still important after your election that we continue to have this conversation? Well, there are a few things that have unfolded over the last couple of days that underlie the problem we have with polarization and some individual actions that are being taken that will only increase the extent to which we are polarized. But before we get to that, I just want to take a second to ask you, please like and share this video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. It's free. Okay. So we have people like Barack Obama who are trying to educate us about the erosion of our democracy and while showing us how we can take action while refusing to fall in line, or perhaps even worse, fall prey to cynicism. But then we have people like Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden and other powerful Democrats who seem to be bending the knee. Sanders, for example, seems to be inclined to back the confirmation of two of Donald's worst nominees to extremely powerful cabinet positions, Tulsi Gabbard and Bob Kennedy, while also throwing some love to Elon Musk. Business Insider sat down with Sanders this week, and this is what The Hill reported.
Elon Musk is right. The Pentagon, with a budget of $886 billion, just failed its seventh audit in a row. It's lost track of billions. Last year, only 13 senators voted against the military-industrial complex and a defense budget full of waste and fraud. That must change. Matt Gaetz wrote on X, "Welcome home, Bernie." And MAGA Mornings host Alan Jacoby posted, "Is this part of the realignment I keep hearing about?"
Well, here's hoping that's not the case. But Sanders did not stop there. He actually sent a message to Donald saying that he'll work with him on defense budget cuts while pointing out that, quote, Elon Musk is a smart guy. I can work with them, unquote. Bernie Sanders has always claimed to be a pro-union guy, but now he's buddying up to Elon Musk, a notorious scab. To make matters worse, Sanders also praised Bob Kennedy, saying, quote, RFK Jr. is exactly right about the food industry, unquote. All right, but he's wrong about everything else. And by just speaking about what Sanders agrees with him about, it's just softening the ground to get this woefully unqualified and dangerous man confirmed to head Health and Human Services. I don't know what's going on with Bernie Sanders, but you would think that he, of all people, would be sounding the alarm about oligarchs like Elon Musk taking over our government. But it's not just Bernie. We have Western leaders who have started to bend the knee to Donald, and while he just treats them with contempt. Last week, Justin Trudeau visited Mar-a-Lago to try to educate Donald about tariffs, which is a completely impossible task. And how did Donald respond to this act of diplomacy and friendship? By posting a Truth Social comment, quote, "It was a pleasure to have dinner the other night with Governor Trudeau of the great state of Canada." Yes, that's how you get treated when Donald has no respect for you because you are not an authoritarian dictator. Donald's Truth Social post may have appeared like a joke, but it wasn't. What he's doing is engaging in dominance and making Trudeau look like a complete idiot once again for falling into the trap. This reflects Donald's longstanding rhetoric of his own exceptionalism and need for dominance, while suggesting that he is going to take an imperial view of U.S. influence over its allies in NATO, for example. But this sort of machismo, which is born and bred in weakness and insecurity, is currently the right's bread and butter. Just look at Donald's recent visit to Paris. We'll leave for another time why, in God's name, Macron invited Donald to the reopening of Notre Dame. But in addition to his power play handshake with the French president, Donald just got his base all riled up. Watch this clip.
Congresswoman Anna Paulina Loina joins us now. All right, so Congresswoman, when you see the video of Trump grab Macron like this and just grab him and twist it, what message does that send?
It's the alpha energy that the world needs right now,
Alpha energy? Seriously? These people need to grow the fuck up. The problem, however, is that key figures in our Western alliance keep trying to play Donald's game or beat him at it, which is just not going to happen. Like, what kind of message does this send to people who are actually hoping that other leaders will come together to stand up to Donald, not bow to him? So, getting back to Sanders for a second, he may see what he's doing as some kind of strategy. Like, there may be some value to him in aligning with figures who, I guess, in his view, allegedly challenge establishment norms. But this risks confusing the Democratic base and diluting Sanders' core message. And then the question is, why was Trudeau at Mar-a-Lago in the first place? I mean, allegedly, he was there to try to teach Donald what tariffs are. But again, it was just a sign of weakness, and he played right into Donald's hand. The optics couldn't possibly have been worse, as we can see by looking at this tweet that was posted. Quote, "Meanwhile, Justin Trudeau's surprise trip to Mar-a-Lago resulted in a photo op. No deal, no plan, no progress. Canadians are left wondering if Trudeau prioritizes optics over outcomes." Well, either way, Justin Trudeau lost. Look, when individuals or institutions preemptively conform to the demands of fascists like Donald, right-wing conservatives, nonsense and or their partisan agendas, they contribute to a culture of uncritical obedience, which deepens our ideological divides and weakens those of us who are on the right side of things. Donald weaponizes polarization as a tool in order to make others succumb to his will, right? He doesn't care about ideology. He cares about power and dominance. So where does this behavior come from? Well, as I discussed in my first book, Too Much and Never Enough, there was always an atmosphere of division in my family, which my grandfather intentionally created. So division is the water in which Donald has always swum. It is the only way he has ever found himself able to succeed. If you needed any current examples, just look at how he handled COVID. And division continues to benefit him at the expense of everybody else. It wears us down individually and collectively, and it changes us even as it leaves him energized and unaltered. The division he is very much responsible for creating and certainly worsening is weakening our ability to be kind or to believe in forgiveness, concepts that have never had any meaning for him at all. His administration and his party have become subsumed by Donald's politics of grievance and entitlement. So I want to leave you with this very, very important mantra. It's okay to be polarized against fascists. It is not okay to make common cause with them.